I kind of sabotaged myself on this one. Like, I got it on Friday, but things kept coming up in the middle of the day, so like I didn't get to it until today, which is Tuesday. So you're getting this one a few days later. And I should also point out that this one is actually the first of like five things that I purchased, all on the same day. But the difference is that they're just coming from different locations, so it's going to take time for them to get here. So be aware, there's a bunch more on the way. This first one, once again, came at lightning speed from Eugene, Oregon, and that would be Radar Toys. They gave me the shipping notice on, well, see, I got this on Friday, so I would have gotten the shipping notice on Thursday, and it just got to me lightning fast. Just boom, there it was within 24 hours. Like, wow. So kudos to Radar Toys. Thank you much. Although nothing against Radar Toys, but I didn't actually go to the website for them. Like I'll try to find them, but like I bought this from Walmart, but for whatever reason it comes from them. So I mean this isn't exactly an Amazon thing that I was doing because I didn't buy it on Amazon, and Amazon's like it's a oh crap, I'm suddenly forgetting what that kind of store is called. It's a bunch of vendors come in all at the same time. It's a marketplace. Amazon's a marketplace. So like nothing against Radar Toys, but like technically I bought it from Walmart, but like the invoice and the shipping and everything comes from Radar Toys in Eugene, Oregon. So like what's going on here? So anyways, I never had a big urge to get this particular ship, but when I saw that it was no longer being sold by Eaglemoss on their official site, I'm like, oh crap, I better hurry up. So I paid a little extra just because I didn't get it directly from Eaglemoss, but that's just how it works. And that would be the, oh, can't see it very well, the Delta Flyer from Star Trek Voyager. I got it for slightly more than what they ordinarily offer, but again, it's out of stock. So naturally, the price is going to be increasing over time. So yeah, I had to pay a little more for it. So whatever. I think I was talking about that one Voyager shuttle from Shuttlecraft set number 5 that I just recently unboxed, and I was looking. I was like, I was thinking about Voyager and what kind of other shuttles do they have because I was doing research on the matter, and that doesn't look right. Hmm. Anyways, I was doing research on it, and I'm like, oh yeah, the Delta Flyer. That's kind of a neat thing. So I'll get the Delta Flyer. Why not? I've never been opposed to it. Actually, I like the shape of it. I really do. So this definitely feels like a $25 purchase. Definitely. I like the profile of it. Look, it looks like a space fighter, except that it's not, for whatever reason. So the asymmetrical cockpit design, which they're trying to make it look kind of Borg-ish, and it kind of works. It kind of doesn't. For somebody who didn't watch a lot of Voyager, I still like the Delta Flyer. I'm just saying. Well, there's a pair of phaser strips right here, right, or there's one on either side, and there's also a pair of strips on the phaser strips on the back, and just behind the warp nacelles, and or not nacelles, but the what's it called? The Bussard collectors. There's another pair underneath there. So wow, this has a lot. That's two, four, six, eight. This shuttlecraft, this high-powered shuttlecraft, has 8 phaser strips on it. Holy crap! Um, if I remember correctly, I think this is only made of 2 pieces. Aside from the transparent stuff, yeah, this is made of 2 pieces. Unfortunately, much like I mean, just because this is something that Eaglemoss does, unfortunately, the warp nacelles do not extend outwards. You're just kind of stuck with it in its sublight mode. Unfortunately, I don't see why they keep insisting it because like I would love to purchase the was it the Brel class Klingon Bird of Prey. I would love to get that, but the problem is you can't have the wings move on it. In fact, they actually have a set of Klingon Bird of Preys. Actually, it's a set of 3. One of them has the wings up with the landing gear down. One of them has the wings flat, and then the third one has the wings down. So you have to get like a $75 kit, or actually it might even be like $100 or whatever, because these are big ones. They're like 8 inches or whatever it is. To the wingspan is like 8 inches or something. So you're actually getting 3. That it's the exact same ship, just in 3 different positions. I'm like, why? Just have the wings move. That's all you got to do. No landing gear. Okay, I understand that. That's acceptable to not have landing gear. That's fine. But just come on. The whole appeal of a Klingon bird of prey, the real Klingon bird of prey, I might should point out, is that the wings move. That's kind of an iconic thing, and here it is. Eaglemoss is not doing that. And if and I'd even go so far as to say, if you want to take the wings off and then put a different set on that are in a different position, I can live with that. But come on, give us some movement. USS Voyager has warp nacelles ordinarily flat and then they go up for warp speed. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen on their standard edition. It doesn't happen on their XL edition. And no, I'm not going to buy a Voyager because I don't like it that much, or I don't like it enough to do that. Oh wow, impulse engines, yo. Um, but yeah, I really, really wish. I mean, the warp delta is so tiny nacelles. It's just kind of and that's it, and then back again. So like, I wish that it had. I'm not even talking about. I'm not even talking about the single door on the back. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about, can we have the nacelles move, please? You don't need to have the door open, and I would not want the door to open on any of the shuttles either, because then you'd have to design the interior. It's like you open the door. What is it? Just some blank plastic that's been painted black. Whatever. So yeah, Eagle Moss, can we do something in the future? In the future, can you do something about moving the nacelles or wings or whatever? It's kind of an important part of ships. So, anyways, not a lot to say about it. It's just a shuttle. It's just a very rugged, Borg enhanced original design shuttle specifically made for use in the Delta Quadrant. Gamma Quadrant. My apologies, the Gamma Quadrant. Um, because like Bolana Torres kept bitching about the fact that they keep losing their Type 7 shuttles, or it's a Type 9 shuttle, whatever. It's the shuttlecraft type that I you lazy bum, just pull it down. What's wrong with you? So, anyways, in Voyager, they have like a ton of these. They have like three or four of these. But the problem is they explode really good because they're just not rugged enough. Because like Voyager's out of its habitat, or yeah, out of its habitat. So these things keep getting exploded good, or they keep getting left behind. And Chief Engineer Belana Torres kept bitching about, if I have to build another one of these from scratch, I'm going to go space crazy. So she finally put her foot down one day, and they're like, you know what? We've got 7 of 9. We've got access to Borg technology. Let's put some of it to our advantage and make something rugged for a change. So this is essentially the USS Defiant of Star Trek Voyager. That's what this is. It's like, Deep Space Nine looks nice, but the runabouts just kind of weren't doing it because you can only have like 2 or 4 people at a time, and you can only go out for tiny little excursions and do little whatever and then come back. In other words, with Deep Space Nine, all the action had to come to the space station, which was the original intent. It didn't work out very well. Very well, at least not at first. It didn't. Um, so they came up with the USS Defiant, the Defiant class ship. Well, Voyager was kind of in the similar scenario. It's like, the ratings are going kind of bad, and so we need to give these shuttles that are, or correction, we need to give these shells that are getting exploded real good. We need to give them a little extra muscle. So let's kind of give Voyager kind of a custom, not captain's yacht, which, by the way, the Voyager did have a captain's yacht. They just never mentioned it and they never used it because that's how Voyager was operating. That's just the way the show was made. They completely forgot that they had it, so whatever. I think they came up with the on-screen excuse, and again, I did not watch it. It's like they salvaged, like when Voyager was transported to the Delta Quadrant. Did I say Gamma Quadrant? When it's transported to the Delta Quadrant, they the excuse is that they salvaged parts from the Arrow shuttle. The captain's yacht's called the Arrow shuttle. They salvaged parts from it in order to repair Voyager, and they couldn't find any more to actually put back into the Arrow shuttle. So it just kind of sat there completely unused for 7 years. One of many problems with that show, I should point out. So the Delta Flyer is effectively the replacement for it, but you don't have to have this big old hole in the bottom of the ship every single time you use it. I think she can carry like, I think it was like 4 to 6 people or something like that. Yeah, this is this is effectively the runabout, or I'm sorry, this serves as a runabout for Voyager without actually looking like one. But so it's effectively a runabout, and of course the magazine's probably going to correct me on all of this, of course. But it's effectively a runabout for Voyager. It's a little more muscle. It's a little more. Actually, it looks a heck of a lot better. I should point out. I bet you John Eves designed this thing. This looks like his work now that I think about it. Here's kind of the weird thing though, and I've never looked at the Delta Flyer in any kind of detail. By the way, rather it has the registry number for, or it has the hull number for Voyager, which is 74656. But the interesting thing, ew, but the interesting thing is that on the nose of the Delta Flyer, it says USS Voyager NCC 74656, and then underneath it, much like other shuttlecraft, it says Delta Flyer in fancy font. So, oh, the door on the back has an asymmetrical design to it. Curious. I wonder why they did that. And here, I thought the only thing asymmetrical about it was the front the front views, or yeah, the front window. I didn't know that. Hmm. So, anyways, yes, this does take advantage of some Borg technology, courtesy of recently not redeemed. What can I call her? Recently rescued Borg drone 7 of 9, and so she put some of her know-how into this thing. So there's just some blatantly Borg-ish looking panels and whatever it is on the Delta Flyer, including the windows here, in a number of different locations. And there's that little triangle right there, and then there's a little sensor thingy right there. So, oh, that's there's Voyager's hull number right there as well, because reasons. So, yeah. And kind of one of the cool things is like this is large enough that they can actually integrate escape pods into it, which I want to say they used them. What was the name of the actual lower decks episode in Voyager? I can't remember what it was called, but anyways, I think they used the escape pods in that episode. I think they did. Um, Whether I know they did use them a number of times in the show. So, but the doors open backwards and then the pod shoots outwards. So, but you're basically sitting in a life-sustaining coffin, is effectively what it is. Like it's like little maneuvering engines and a beacon, and I hope there's a picture of them because I have no idea what they actually look like. So, but anyways, yeah, the doors pop open to the side and then the escape pods shoot out. So. Now that I think about it, this might be in scale with each other. Now that I think about it, because like the way the windows line up, and considering the fact that the Delta Flyer was always larger, it does kind of make sense that this may very well be in scale. I'll have to check. I'm not certain. Hmm. I didn't even think of that. Just because Eaglemoss doesn't make these in scale with each other, so but it's just sheer coincidence. And I want to say this is actual standard size. Like this is standard size, and so is this. But because this is a quote unquote shuttlecraft, I do not believe that the Delta Flyer was ever made this small. I don't think they did. I think this is the only time, and captions will always be pointing out whether this is true or not. I think this is the only time that the Delta Flyer is. Did I call it Delta Voyager? What's wrong? The Delta Flyer. This is the only version, the only size that Eaglemoss made of it. So, got your port and starboard navigation beacons, the navigational deflector array, which is very strange. It's like blue, and then there's like a green blob of paint right in the middle. I don't know, it might have been small enough it was difficult for them to do that. It might have been better for them to stamp on something. Oh well. Oh, I wonder. Just because of the shape of the wings actually dip down a little bit lower than the flattened surface. I wonder if it actually doesn't rest flat on itself. No, it does not. it rests on the wings, on the warp nacelle winglets or whatever it is, but the nose and the tail and the belly of the shuttle actually doesn't touch the ground. So even though it has landing pads there and there, even though it has landing pads, because Eaglemoss is fascinated with things not moving on their replicas, apparently these landing pads do not extend outwards. Like they retract, but they don't come out far enough. So yeah, you actually are going to need the display stand in order to showcase this properly. Hmm. There's two things I noticed. It does have I mean, I've never looked at this in detail, but it does have a deflector shield grid, which is, well, if you're a trekker, you know what that looks like. But it does not have a what would it be called? An Aztec pattern. It does not have that. However, it does have little bits of weathering. Like there's a little bit on the belly. I think that's the only place where it got any weathering is just on the belly, and that's it. And it's just a little bit. It's not. I might as well not have even gone through the effort. I mean, it's nice to see the weathering. Like, okay, that's a nice little detail, but just kind of wasted if you didn't put it anywhere else. Although the argument can be made that the belly would be the only place where it like physically comes into contact with anything. Oh wait, it totally has landing gear. Something weird about the little Borg bits of technology. There's a couple of squares or whatever of black paint that you can see there, but none of the other areas have anything other than like dark gray or whatever it is. But here's the weird part. Well, that sounds like a mail carrier coming to deliver one of my other packages. Well, I may or may not unbox it today. I don't know. Um, anyways, this kind of triangle of flattened Borg tech has little dots of green on them. So, eh. Which like it should, because on the starboard navigation beacon, which is just beyond my finger right there, fingertip right there, that's green, and then underneath, where there, underneath is the other navigational beacon, or yeah, green starboard navigational beacon. So they do have green paint on here, but the only other place they put it for the Borg tech specifically is under there, and that's it. And considering that this little spot right up here is the largest bit of Borg tech, you'd think they'd have snuck a little bit of green in there, well, as well. So yeah, that definitely sounds like the mail carrier coming up. I think I've got another package in the mail today. Maybe I should like pause the recording, go down there and get it and see what it is. So I don't know. Which, you know, I was expecting it tomorrow, so whatever. So yeah, the whole top is molded in one piece and is die-cast metal, and then the bottom is all one piece and it's molded in plastic, ABS plastic. And then the Bussard collectors and warp field grills are individually molded as well. Or are they? Well, they would have to be because they're different colors. And I should also point out the the grills actually shine through, or they're semi-transparent. So you know you need not. They are transparent. They are not painted on. Is my point. Kind of a badass shuttle if it's got 8 phaser strips on it. Just saying. Huh. The display base. I knew I was going to choke on that. Um, it's actually pretty rare for the collection of all the ships that I've gotten so far, with even including the shuttlecraft up there. The only one I have where it's mounted in the back rather than the center would be the SS Emmett and the Delta. Ooh, Warp Delta. I'm sorry, too many Deltas floating around here. So it's actually nice to see. And there have been a number of occasions where I wish they had mounted the display stand or the framework here. I wish they had mounted it in the back. But for whatever reason, it only happens with the smaller ones. So, Like with the NX1 Enterprise, I wish it had been mounted at, I wish the display base, the stand had been at the back. Same thing with the Akira Prize. Actually, most of them come done with that. And by the way, I'd like to correct myself. The USS Kelvin, the XL edition Kelvin, is also mounted in the back. So, and also like the USS Excelsior and the USS Thunderchild, which doesn't have a name on it, oddly enough, it's also going to be tilted at a really strong angle here. So, ooh, that's loose. That will suffice, but it is tilted. Tilted notably. It's not hanging straight. It's tilted backwards a little. Yep, that's the Delta Flyer, and you can see where it's mounted right there, just either side of the fuselage. Is that a fuselage? Yeah, because it would be. I don't quite like the fit, but I suppose it would have been difficult for them to kind of put that in any location other than where they did. So, of course, it came with obligatory magazine. It's a nice shot, by the way. You remember earlier when I mentioned that the Delta Flyer replica just had a little blue blob and then there was a little green blob right in the middle of it? Well, you can see right there, that's what it actually looks like. It's supposed to be kind of a miniaturized version of the Voyager's deflector dish. So, and then there's the top as well. Boy, those are really disturbing. Oh, the other thing is I was also talking about how the underside, just that little triangle of Borg tech, had like two green dots on it. Well, on this picture right here, which is very obviously the CG model that they used in the show. Why is there so many reflections here? Um, you're just gonna have to take my word for it. There's green lights that are coming from here, and also wait, is it on the front as well? No, it's not. Okay. Yeah, just take my word. The little spots actually have the Borg tech does have green lights on it. So it's like, if you can get it on the CG model, why aren't you doing it there? Operated by Starfleet, launched in the year 2375, has a length of 21 meters. Oh yeah, she's a big one. Standard crew of four. Her weapons are forward and aft phaser strips and photonic missiles. Photonic missiles. So she has a torpedo launcher? Really? Or missile launcher, I guess. I don't think they ever really say in Star Trek what the difference is between a torpedo and a missile. If I had to guess, I would say the torpedo launcher is probably in the nose. That's probably what this little notch right here. That's probably what that little notch is just above my finger. That's probably what that is. But if it was, it's not painted. It's not. Oh yeah, there's an oh so slight indent. So if that's the case, why didn't they just paint that little hole black? Well, it's not. It's not black. It's a little indent. So it's like, why didn't they paint that to say that there's a torpedo launcher there? Unless the torpedo missiles come from somewhere else. I don't know. Okay, so she's got photonic missiles. Wasn't that something that the Doctor conjured up? Holographic Doctor, not that Doctor. Defenses is unimatrix shielding and parametallic hull plating. Parametallic hull plating. That's an interesting. So it's handicapped hull plating. The Delta Flyer was built by the senior crew of the USS Voyager NCC 74656 during their time in the Delta Quadrant, hence its name. Oh, I didn't even think of that. Wow. It was faster, better armed, and much more rugged than standard Starfleet shuttlecraft. Yeah, I could see polygons on this close up. Like unintentional polygons, like the it must have been the detail like when they designed the CG model for the Delta Flyer. Actually, I think it only ever was CG. When they designed it, they're like, oh, there's no way the camera's going to get that close. And keep in mind, when they designed this, HD DVD had not happened yet. It was still Blu-ray versus HD DVD. We were still having that argument at the time. So I'm wondering if these polygons I'm seeing here is not a case of like, you know what, the camera's never going to get close enough. You're never going to see it. So it's kind of an interesting thing to note. Although most of the other rounded surfaces, it's hard to pick out if if it's like the polygons or whatever it is, where it's the sharp edges that just are curved, like that, versus something that's actually smoothed out. Working around the clock, the Delta Flyer was built in just a few days. Alloys and new design components were replicated, while spare parts from storage were also used in its construction. It featured retractable warp nacelles, which this version does not have, Unimatrix shielding, and Borg-inspired weapons. Unimatrix shielding. What does that mean? Tom Paris described it as an ultra responsive hot rod. Yeah, that's possible. The initial feed for the Delta Flyer came from Seven of Nine during a mission to survey a proto nebula aboard a Class 2 shuttle. After hearing B'Elanna Torres and Tom Paris complaining about having Class 2 claustrophobia, a term used by Starfleet cadets when they were packed into shuttles for weeks at a time as part of their training, Seven suggested that they design a larger, more efficient shuttle. How can I argue with that? Okay, wait a minute here. The Delta Flyer 2, because there were two versions, one was destroyed and then there was another one. I don't remember when, but spoiler alert, the first Delta Flyer was destroyed, and then they made a second one. So the Delta Flyer 2, they're talking about here, could achieve even faster sublight speeds thanks to its that. The Delta Flyer 2 could achieve even faster sublight speeds than its predecessor thanks to its pop-out impulse thrusters. These proved especially useful when navigating the course of a Mobius inversion during the Antarian Transstellar Rally. Oh, that's right. It did have little pop-up engines on it. I forgot about that. Wait, those are atmospheric speed brakes? When does Star Trek ever use atmospheric speed brakes? When it's on Star Trek Enterprise Season 4. Just saying. So then where pop out where is by the way, here's a nice whole bunch of really nice profiles right there. Very, very nice. But it says it has like impulse boosters or something like that, which so those are not. I thought they were, but I thought those were escape pod hatches, but apparently not. They're where did I see that? Yeah, it says atmospheric speed brakes. A lot of concept stuff, but I want to see if they have. Strange. I'm kind of not doubting that they have a uh, like impulse boosters or whatever it is, because like I seem to remember like Tom Paris actually did try to use them during that one rally, that one race, but pop out impulse thrusters, where would those be? I guess I'd have to watch the episode again to see that. So shield enhancements allowed the Delta Flyer to withstand huge gravimetric distortions and enter a graviton ellipse, where it found the Ares 4, an early Mars mission command module that had gone missing in the year 2032. With additional immersion shielding, the Delta Flyer had the necessary structural integrity to drive to a depth of nearly 600 kilometers on the Monian ocean world. After a mission where the Voyager crew stole a Borg transorb coil, that's gutsy, a Borg 7 of 9 was captured by the Borg. The coil was then installed on board the Delta Flyer and used to travel to the vast Borg unit complex to rescue 7. Huh. Instead of a standard Starfleet LCARS interface, the pilot station featured analog-style dials, toggle switches, and levers, while the Delta Flyer 2 also featured 2 manual steering columns. Thank you, Tom Paris. We needed that. Obviously, he was in it. It even says it. Where is it? In the original Delta Flyer, Tom Paris designed several retro control panels that he claimed allowed him to feel how the ship was responding. In the Delta Flyer 2, the flight controls were updated with 2 identical joysticks that the pilot used to change course and speed, providing an extremely responsive method of control. Yes. Oh my god. Shuttlecraft loss. It was not surprising that the crew of the USS Voyager felt the need to create the Delta Flyer. By the end of 2375, they had crashed, destroyed, or otherwise lost a total of 18 shuttlecraft. I think that that number of shuttlecraft is right up there with the number of limited torpedoes that they brought along with them and couldn't possibly repair. I'll leave a link in the description for a rather humorous video about every single photon torpedo or whatever torpedo that was fired by Voyager. It's like it was said that they only had a limited amount of torpedoes available and they could never replace them. That was said early in the first season, but by the end of the series, it had fired way, way, way more torpedoes with no explanation whatsoever as to how they accomplished that. But that being said, um, Voyager, I mean, like the Enterprise D, which is kind of sort of the largest largest Federation starship by mass that we have encountered as a mainline ship or whatever, or as a headlining ship, had like 20 or something spacecraft, but it also had three shuttle bays or whatever it is, including the really big one at the top of the saucer. So how it is that Voyager could crashed, destroyed, or otherwise lost a total of 18 shuttlecraft? What is this STD where you just have an unlimited amount of space on the inside like the TARDIS? I'm just saying. Now, I do know that they did build some new shuttlecraft over time. I do know that, which was kind of the justification for making that, or for making the Delta Flyer. 18 shuttlecraft, that kind of blows my mind. Must be one of those dialogue things. The large aft compartment on the Delta Flyer provided the occupants with space to work, relax, or sleep. It even featured a retractable biobed in the event of a medical emergency. Awesome. It is. It is. It's just a really big, or it's either a really big shuttlecraft or a really tiny starship. Well, technically, it is a starship because it does have warp drive on it, but it's like as small a starship as you can possibly make. Arguably, even it's like short duration and limited supplies, but it's still technically a starship. It's just a really, really, really tiny one. That's like what they say, 24 or 14 meters. 21 meters. Yeah. So, and 21 meters translates to 63 feet long. So that's how big it is. Ah, Rick Sternbach. Okay, Rick Sternbach is another concept designer who got his start in Next Generation. So okay, yeah, I thought it might have been John Eves, but yeah, okay, whatever. I think they kind of bounced back and forth between which one designed what. So Rick Sternbach carefully worked out where all the main components should be placed when creating the Delta Flyer. The design brief for the Delta Flyer called for a tough, all-purpose shuttle that combined Starfleet and Borg technology, and, of course, should look cool. The design for the Flyer went through a number of stages before Sternbach drew up a set of detailed blueprints for the finished shuttle that included annotated notes on all of its main features. And you can see just kind of where they were. They just want something that looks pretty. That's all. You know. So it looks like they ultimately settled on that. So it's just here's a whole bunch just basic shapes and playing around with things. So it turned out pretty good. The fact they wanted it to look cool certainly helps us. Yeah, absolutely. That is an absolute badass design. I will absolutely agree with that. These early doodles saw the Delta Flyer begin to take shape as Sternbach experimented with different looks for the nose and warp nacelles. Actually, so some of these shapes look kind of familiar. If you know what's it called? I think it's called the Raptor from the re-envisioned battle or the remake of Battlestar Galactica from the early 2000s. It looks like one of the sketches kind of looks like that, kind of, except it's blocky and unrefined. Oh wow, it actually had a lot more Borg detailing on it at an earlier stage. Hmm. So you can see here, this is a little closer to the finalized version, although the nose is not quite the same. It's also a little more flattened on the front. Is that a dish on the front? Oh yeah, it is. The very tip of the nose is the navigational deflector as opposed to the final version where it's a little more back here. So yeah, they actually took the dish and moved it back there. So okay. But you can see down here again the nose is actually comes to a rounded point, or it's much more pointed. It's much sharper point. But you can see here there's a lot more Borg detailing on it, just all over. Like they kept this and they kept this, and they kept this, but you can see there's some extra bits. This feels like it should have been, but for whatever reason, like you can tell, they kind of took it out. You can see they took it out over there. So all elements of the design were thoroughly thought out, and Sternbach added a large hatch at the rear of the Delta Flyer, which could be used to install different mission modules, such as a laboratory. Uh-huh. I don't remember if they ever made a physical version of the Delta Flyer. Like the interior is part of a set, obviously, but for location or on-set shots, did they just have kind of the ramp that came down? They just implied that the ship was there, or did they like make a mock-up of like the back half of the Delta Flyers so that it could? Hmm? Okay. Or did they make a mock-up of the back half of it so that they could just like if you made like just that much, just that little triangle bit, if made just that much so that you could see the back of it on a location, so they could actually ship it out to a filming location, or they could move it around on their sets for alien worlds or whatever. Did they ever make like the back half of the Delta Flyer? Or did they just imply it was there? Okay, everybody get aboard, come on, let's go, and get in, and that was kind of it. I don't know, I didn't watch that far into Voyager. So if you did watch Voyager, please let me know if they actually physically built any parts of the exterior, the outside of the Delta Flyer. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, the hatch is asymmetrically designed. Huh. Very interesting. Some really nice. So you can see the hatch. I pointed out earlier that it was an asymmetrical design. Well, there it is. You can see right there it is asymmetrical. And then there's some really nice pencil sketches here, or not sketches, some further designs here, and you can see how big a person is compared to the back of it. So. I was wondering about this earlier. The updated Delta Flyer was almost identical on the outside to its predecessor, although we did get the chance to add some cool pop-out impulse thrusters, which boosted its sublight speeds. This feature added to the Delta Flyer 2's status as a 24th century hot rod, and it was especially great to see it take a starring role in the episode Drive. Hmm. Maybe that's what those things are on the back, because like it said like it said atmospheric air brakes or something like that, which makes no sense whatsoever. But it would make sense if they were like pop-out thrusters or something like that. So this is specifically marked as the Delta Flyer, but not the Delta Flyer 2. I don't know if like the CG model was different. I'm gonna have to read through here and see like if the CG model was different other than the name. Other than the name, which does change on the front there. I'm wondering if they um, changed the exterior for those additional impulse thrusters or whatever it is. I wish they would have shown a picture of it because they mentioned them several times now. The lighting on the Delta Flyer was one area where CG artist Robert Bonchun could add his own creativity and help make the ship look more organic. How does adding lights to it make it organic? Whatever. It is good to see though pictures of the Delta Flyer with the warp nacelles extended. It is good to see that. Bonchun revealed that the air brakes were the hardest element to get right, as they had to hinge upwards on a curved part of the hull. There it is again. It says air brakes. I'm wondering. I'm going to pause the recording and see if there's a if I can determine where those additional impulse thrusters are, because it's driving me crazy. So I'll be right back.
A few moments later.
Hmm. Okay, so it was like one of the first search results I came up with, and it's like, yeah, the oops, almost. These I thought these were escape pod hatches. Turns out they're not. No, that is where the additional impulse engines come out. They just fold out a little bit, and then there's additional red impulse engine nozzles on there. Speaking of, and I forgot to address this earlier, you can see the main impulse engine housings are right there. It's on the top and it's on the bottom. Much like with the Akira class USS Thunderchild that I recently did, or that I recently unboxed. Was that like 2 weeks ago? Something like that. I don't remember. Um, there are grooves for like for the exhaust to come out of or whatever it is, but then the actual impulse nozzles themselves have been painted red. So, but they're really small compared to like how you see them in the show. They'll glow bright enough that you can actually notice them. But if you look at them in person here on the Eaglemoss replica, they're like really tiny slits, and that's about it. So, yeah, here we go. You can see here. Ah, let's see. There's the back. Those are the three slits right there for the impulse engines right there, and that's across the top of the Delta Flare. So you can see like they have to be highlighted with actual lighting to see it. So you have to get down and kind of squint to be able to see it on the replica itself. So boy, it's really nice to have all these sketches. It's really nice. And then they actually there's like four sections. Like they talk about the Delta Flyer's role in the series, and then they talk about designing it, and then they talk about designing it, and then they talk about designing the CG model, and then um, the last section here, the very last page, is called On Screen, where it talks about its first appearance. There's also a section here at the very back that says key appearances. There was the episode Good Shepherd. A crew efficiency reveals that three crew members from the lower decks are failing to meet expectations. Oh, that's the one I was talking about like half hour, 40 minutes ago, whenever it was. I was hoping to get this in under 20 minutes. Though, even a small little replica like that's going to take me an hour to unbox. Is this even an unboxing? Should I just call these vlogs and get it over with? Just because like the unboxing was almost an hour ago from my perspective because there are pauses in the recording, obviously. Um, yeah. So, um, seeking to guide her strays back to the flock, Captain Janeway orders them to join her on an astronomical survey aboard the Delta Flyer. What should be a routine mission goes wrong when something hits the Delta Flyer, disabling its warp drive. Unable to contact Voyager, the captain and the three misfits must find a way out of their predicament while also battling what appears to be dark matter life forms. Boy, that was a weird show. And then the other episode was while testing out the new Delta Flyer 2, Tom Paris gets involved in an impromptu race with a ship piloted by an alien woman named Irina. She later invites him to take part in a race that is being held to celebrate a peace treaty between four races who were recently at war. Paris readily agrees, forgetting that he had promised to go on holiday with B'Elanna Torres. Trying to save their relationship, Torres takes part in a race as Paris' co-pilot, unaware that the Delta Flyer has been rigged to explode by Irina, who opposes the peace. Wow, that totally spoiled the episode for you. Maybe I can cut that? I don't know. Ah, Saya Batten, who plays Irina in the Star Trek Voyager episode Drive, where the Delta Voyager 2 appears, previously appeared in Star Trek Deep Space Nine as Gul Dukat's daughter, Tora Zial. She was also one of the original members of the pop group The Pussycat Dolls, which I know nothing about, so don't ask. Tom Morello, the lead guitarist from rock band Rage Against the Machine and Audioslave, made a cameo appearance in the Star Trek Voyager episode Good Shepherd. He played crewman Mitchell, who was stationed on Deck 15 and had directed Captain Janeway to Junction Room 16. Morello, a huge fan of Star Trek, also made a brief cameo as a Sona officer in Star Trek Insurrection. Hmm. That's really as far. I'm going to go off topic for a moment here. That's really as far as Star Trek goes in terms of celebrity and bringing in big name actors or guest appearances or things like that. It's usually a walk on role. It's like they just so happen to be on the set on that particular day, and they might have like one line of dialogue. Like I can't think of who it is, but in '93 or '94, whenever it is that Voyager was on the air, the Saudi crown prince, who is now king, who is king right now, he did a guest appearance on Voyager. You see him. He doesn't say anything, but Ensign Kim is talking to him in a hallway, so you see his face, and then he turns and walks down the hallway. You've got Dwayne the Rock Johnson playing the Rock. as an alien. What was it? Sunkatse, or whatever that blood sport was. You've got Dwayne Johnson doing a cameo. He does speaking a little bit, and he actually does pick up Jerry Wren and like put her over his shoulder or something like that. So he's in it. Jason Alexander did a cameo in one episode, although he has actual speaking role. Think Tank. I think it was called Think Tank was the episode he was in, or at least he was part of a think tank. In Deep Space Nine, I don't know. Like Rene Auberjonois, who played Odo, who recently passed away, may he rest in peace. He was kind of not really a celebrity, but he had, I think, the best reputation out of all of the main actors, because like he had done voice work and acting and other stuff, and you know that voice, you know that face. So when he got onto Deep Space Nine, like I think he might have been like the biggest name to be one of the regular cast members for Deep Space Nine. And the same thing kind of goes for Patrick Stewart. Uh, he had been in like Dune, but he was mostly known for stage theater work. It wasn't until he was cast as Captain Jean-Luc Picard then he became a household name. Then his popularity and his celebrity exploded out of control in recent years, I should point out. So, yeah, I mean, Star Trek, and you know, even if you want to go back all the way to the original series in 1966 or whatever, I think the largest, like, previously established actor in the original series would have been DeForest Kelly, because he was all over the place in westerns. And but like everybody knows DeForest Kelly as Dr. McCoy from Star Trek, but both before and after, he was a big part of the western genre. So it's kind of a coup that they got him into Star. Technically, it would have been a coup to get him into Star Trek the original series. So, and then the movies. Actually, for the most part, if you want to talk about guest appearances of like known celebrities or whatever, um, so it took him quite a while to recover from Star Trek Nemesis, and now people who know who Tom Hardy is, but like when Nemesis came out, that was supposed to be his breakout role, but it didn't, unfortunately. Why am I talking about celebrity appearances? I don't even. Yeah, why was I talking about? Oh, because of yeah, guess yeah. Should I even bother leaving these in here? So after that massive distraction, how long have I been talking about celebrities and Star Trek movies? And I don't even. Um, yep, this turned out good. This turned out good. Well, the magazine turned out good. There's some really good info in there. And then the Delta Flyer turned out equally well. Oh yeah, paint applications and molding, which I totally forgot to do like an hour ago, or whatever. Other than the navigational deflector on the front, which again just has that must have been a really difficult thing to them to paint, because the deflector dish specifically for Voyager type craft is really detailed. So I guess I can't really be angry at them for not getting that painted detail. They might be able to do like really tiny writing. Oh, okay, I just found one on the left side, on the port side, where it says USS Voyager NCC hull number. The 7 is missing. So instead, it just says NCC 4656 as opposed to 74656. So there's the little printout goofed up right there. Now it is correct on the starboard side, on the right side, but on the port side, no. There's a little. It's like, you know what? You can barely read it. It's not worth noticing, because like, how long have I had this in my hands and I didn't notice? So, anyways, alignment of paint applications looks pretty good. Biggest offenders might be on the maneuvering thrusters and the yeah. There's a little bit of drift on the Borg areas. Just some of them, not all of them. That aft port maneuvering thruster is a little sloppy. Painting is a little sloppy there. And the impulse engines would also be something really difficult to paint those. But it looks like they got pretty close with the impulse engines because this is just a tiny little D on both the underside and the top. So yeah, I wish we could extend the nacelles. That just drives me nuts. But yeah, I would say that the decals were applied well, and the other paint apps are pretty well. I mean, you're really going to have to take a magnifying glass to notice the things that I've just now pointed out in terms of the paint apps and whatever. You really would have to get down real close. But, at a casual glance, you're not going to notice it really. I'm trying to think like the most egregious paint application error. Probably the Kelvin Timeline USS Enterprise, just because it's missing a lot of paint applications. So that's probably the most obvious one. And then the Warp Delta from Enterprise that had misalignment on the windows. Oh, the USS Franklin. All of the windows along the leading edge are out of alignment, each and every one of them. So it looks like two decks when it's actually just one deck. So yeah, that's a pretty obvious gaff. So like in the grand scheme of things, this is definitely one of their good ones, and the fact that they had a little bit of weathering on the other side. There's just a little bit right there. Ooh, let's see. This kind of grid pattern right here, you can see, might be able to see it's a little discolored. I know it's a shitty camera, but that being said, you might be able to see the detailed weathering on there. And it's just very, very lightweight. Like they probably shouldn't even bothered with the weathering. So Sternbach, why did you put so many phaser strips on this thing? Good lord, there's 6 on top and 2 on the bottom. Like why? That's ridiculous. I think you only land like 2 forward and 2 aft and call it good. No, it's got 8. Not bad for slightly over MSRP. But like I said, they don't make this anymore. So obviously I'm going to be posting the link down below in the comment or in the thing description. That's where I'll be posting the link in the description below. But chances are, you're gonna have to pay increasingly higher costs. So so yeah, good deal, good deal. That all worked out quite nicely. Uh, I'm gonna look forward to reading this one. Looking forward to it. Like Delta Flyer is pretty doggone badass. Like I didn't see much of the show, but yeah, she is badass. And thus worth spending a little extra money on in the aftermarket. And so with that, this is AV Unit 4A saying thank you for tuning in.